Is it visible?
So your voice is not very loud. I mean, it is very low. It's better, and your screen
Now
is visible, sir.
is it okay, please? Rajini ma'am, can you let me unmute from my other account, please? I have joined in 2 accounts, please, right? Is it okay now?
It's a bit better.
Okay. I'll speak louder, no problems. First of all, I'm feeling proud and pride also that I'm member of team GNMT. Reason being is that when this research journey series was started, that was an idea of Dr. S.P. Singh, our president, our mentor, our professional and personal life coach also, and so on. So we can have so many adjectives for him because of his vision and his kind of leadership for this institution. When we started this research journey, we were sure that the people in academia, we need to be together, even if they are the new researchers or even if they are established researchers, because we need to have one big platform where we can be together and we can continue to learn from one another. So in that series, we are starting with this PhD research guidance framework of dimension, because I was given this task by Dr. S.P. Singh that I should deliver some component on guidance perspective also for this research journey. You see, when we talk about the research guidance, there are many dimensions which are you see important, because whenever any new research scholar comes to us for starting his research journey, he has many issues, he has many dreams, he has many ambitions, but at the same time he's bewildered also, confused also, and he wants us to go for his or her hand holding so that we can make him to learn a few things. So we wanted that as a guide and as a research scholar, how we can create that kind of symbiotic relationship so that the end result is very fruitful research. So my take of the day will be within this framework, that how to guide and how to get guided and how to make it a symbiotic relationship. So I'll be focusing on this one. You see, if we talk about the research guidance, the very first step, whenever any research scholar comes to his or her research advisor or the guide is, he says, "Sir, can you suggest me some topic?" And Sone pe Sohaga is sometimes this guide also suggests. And that suggestion can be a work area. For example, he can say, okay, go for some area in work, personal financing, go for some research in the consumer behavior part, go for some research in this or that field. So work area can be suggested, but the problem statement cannot be suggested like this one, until unless the researcher knows and is very clear about his or her capabilities, his or her interest area, and his or her future plans also, the future professional plan also, whatever he or she wants to be in that kind of field, right? So, and the research guide will have to suggest the problem statement by making sure that the research scholar is pretty sure that he or she is going to join, go to pursue the research in her own accepted research area. Why I'm saying accepted research area? Because at the end you cannot say that I'm from finance and the topic is from marketing, right? So, but even then I'm doing it. Even then I'm doing it is not, because research journey has to be very enjoyable also. It's very hectic, agreed. It's very time consuming, agreed, and so on. But at the same time, it is enjoyable also. Once we complete our PhD, right, and we complete our research paper, complete our thesis, or whatever research project is there, we always remember the difficulties faced, and we really feel that okay, we just went through it. So it means if your work area is of your own interest, the journey will be definitely entertaining, enjoyable, and so on. So the first wrong step must be avoided. It means the topic to be selected where the research scholar wants to work upon should be purely his or her own personal accepted domain, his or her own interest area. That is where to begin from. The other, if that was the wrong step, the first right step for me is there should be a mutual love and respect for your mentor and mentee, right? The relationships are not till the research work is over. Rather, I'm sure the research scholar and the guide, they have a relationship much more than a family. They can discuss their professional problems, their personal problems, even very, very personal problems, and so on, because that is the kind of a mutual relationship, mutual strength of relationship which develops during this journey which they went together. And this love and respect is the prerequisite to complete the research work. This is very important because the symbiotic relationship
Sorry
is
to
not
disturb you,
possible
sir.
without.
Sorry to disturb you, sir. Just a second. So we are getting a lot of messages in the chat box that your voice is not clear. Can you just use some headphones or in case some other thing so that your voice can be more clearer?
Rajani ma'am, I have another account. Can you unmute me from? Can you let me unmute from there, please? Rajani ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I have two. I'm working on two accounts, right? Let me be. Let me unmute myself on the other account as well.
Okay, okay. Let me see.
Okay. Now is it okay, please?
So now it is doubling. So now it is
no
echoing.
problem. I'll do that. I'll do that. No problem. I'll do that. Is it okay?
It's a bit echo is there. A little bit of
Ma'am, unmute me from the other side, please. Is it okay?
Better, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. It's better.
Okay. Okay. I'll switch off the speakers here. So what we were talking about is that the mutual love and respect is very, very important if we want to work together. The another thing is that whenever any research project is started, sometimes we start with a hurry. We want to complete it before even we start it. That is the kind of because the ambition, the kind of the enthusiasm the research scholar carries early in the early stage of their project or something. But if research proposal, or we also call it synopsis or research outline or whatever terminology we use, if your research proposal is quite comprehensive, is very candid, is very clear in outlining the process as well as the procedure, of course the objectivity as well, right? If that comprehensivity is there in the research proposal, we can avoid oops in future. For example, I remember one of our friends, she was working on some PhD work, and the title had the word framework of this. Now when we use the word framework, it means she's talking about statistical methodology, and being from the not from the social sciences, she was from technical sciences, and that kind of work was not her domain, right? So statistical modeling was not her domain. But because in the title, it was a title decided just with the beautiful English, not with the technical writing aspect. So this kind of, you see, we can have many oops in future, because sometimes we use the word to study the perception of. right? So we are using perception as a word in of English, but in social sciences, the perception is a very technical word. And for perception, if we are studying in objective, we are writing to study the perception of. It means we are talking about something like multidimensional scaling, right? So it means the action verbs to evaluate, to study, to understand, to analyze, and so on. These words are not the words of English language. These are the technical action verbs, and they have got different meaning as far as the research methodology is concerned. So whenever we are deciding about the research proposal, we should make sure that our research scholar is very clear with the action verbs used in the title or in the research objectives. And from that, he or she can decide what kind of work she or he is going to start with. Many people are not clear what the regression is and what the relationship, the correlation is. If you are, for example, if we are writing to study the impact of, or to study the contribution of, it means we are talking about something about regression. If you are saying to study the relationship of, it means we can go for correlation also and regression also. So if we are talking about direction of relationship, then it is correlation. If you are talking about extent of relationship, it means we are talking about regression and so on. So these are the technical things. Our research scholar should be pretty clear when he or she is writing a research proposal. This is very important. Here, the first wrong will start. And if we do it right, from here, everything will go smooth. That is very important. Now, how to decide a work area. During previous research journey webinars, Dr. S.P. Singh was always advising us that we should go for a topic which is functionally applicable and so on. That was the beauty of advice we used to learn during those webinars. So here what we can do is, first of all, work area it must be your first love. For example, many people say, I'm not from marketing, but my guide gave me the topic of marketing and hence I'm doing it. Now I'll do that. I'll work hard to do that or something like this one. This is not the right thing. So you must choose the work area which is your first love, right? First love is mostly that one where you read a lot, where you learn a lot, right? So in that area, for example, I was pretty clear that being from the agricultural sciences, my area will be something related to the agribusiness. It can be agribusiness or it can be agro-based business, right? So I was pretty clear that this is the work area which is my first love, and hence I chose the food processing industry work area for my study and something like this one. The another important part here is that whatever work area you choose, that must be a growing industry, that not be a saturated industry. What does mean is that work area should remain in the growth phase in the next decade or 2 decades or even more than that. So if your work area is in the growing stage, it means the relevance of your work area will be for a longer period. The another part is that whatever work area you choose, the professional employment must be possible there, right? It is not that only for academic purpose only, or professional employment should be possible. For example, if you're talking about something about the banking, so it means the banking, suppose you are taking some topic about HR problems in banking and so on. So it means the HR in banking is a professional employment possibility. So we can choose that topic. Then it should not be merely an academic topic, which is, if you go for Shodhganga, you will find plenty of theses which are purely academics, because we have to choose 4 variables, 3 independent variable, 1 dependent variable, and then we just list 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and we decide a topic like this one. No, it cannot be merely an academic topic. Whether it is purely an academic topic or it is a professional arena or something, just think that whether independent consultancy is possible,
example, if you are working in education and you are talking about parental consultancy and the interest in science, it certainly is independent consultancy is possible. That after doing your doctorate, you can be a consultant where you can help the schools and students to develop the science interest among the students and how to get the parental support for something. So it means the independent consultancy is possible in that area. That is how the work area should be chosen. The another part is that it should solve the real life problems, right? Until unless it solves the real life problem, your research work, a document of a few pages, which will help you to get awarded a PhD degree, that's okay. But if it is not going to solve the real life problem, will definitely doing lesser than what we should have done it, right? So it means we should work upon an area where the real-time data is accessible. Survey-based data are good. They are trustworthy also. We can really feel the validity of the survey-based data and the research or something. But if real-time data are available to us, that kind of work area if chosen, that will definitely fetch us better results. That will definitely fetch us better output in terms of research also and the application of that research area. Now, how to decide that kind of a work area, and within that work area, how to decide the research title. As I said, think of a real life problem. For that, understanding that whether that is a problem being faced by the professionals or by these different stakeholders these days. For that, if you are regular reader of magazines and newspapers, the editorial, you will definitely understand that the contemporary issues you will understand, and from those contemporary issues, you will definitely find a real life problem for yourself as well. If you decide some research title, you must talk to the concerned company professionals also. For example, if you're choosing a banking area, or if you're choosing an academic institution area or something like this one, talk to the concerned professional, the associated professional, deliberate with them, talk a lot, get the feeling, feel their pulse, what do they feel about that area and so on, because that will give you immense clarity about the research title you are going to choose. That will help you to decide the variables you need to work upon. Review of literature will definitely support you to find the variables to decide the research title and so on. But if before that, if you have talked to the working professionals, if you have gone through the contemporary issues, then you will be very clear what kind of review of literature you have to do. Because if we talk about a virtual library on Google, a building of you see so many thousands of cubic kilometer volume, that is the size of library available on Google itself, right? So we cannot decide what kind of review of literature should be available to us until unless we are very focused and we have a great clarity of thought before that one. So review of literature directly jumping to the research papers from internet or through journals, that's not a good idea. Before that, you must talk to the research to the working professional in that area. Right. So from that, you will develop the understanding of the function relationship between among those independent variables. Right. So here I say avoid those action words which you do not understand yourselves in terms of the methodology implication. So if, for example, if you are using the term, I told you, if you are using the term to study the contribution of this into this, right, it means you are talking about something about the regression. And if you are talking about 2 or 3 or 4 variables, you may be talking about the multiple or partial regression or something, or partial or multiple correlation and something. So you should be pretty clear that the word, the action verbs you are using, and the independent variables you are using for yourself, you must be clear that what are the methodological implications in that. This is the best thing we must make a research scholar to do. Every research scholar should do whenever he or she decides the work area, whenever he or she decides about the research title, make him or her to write about about it in minimum 300 words. right? For example, what kind of research questions are possible in your title? What kind of rationale, right, is possible, right? What kind of hypothesis you can plan? Hypothesis, I'm not talking about the null hypothesis. Hypothesis means what are the expected outcomes you are you want from that area, right? What kind of methodology you will adopt in that one. Means, for example, one student in the morning only, she was asking me, sir, why null hypothesis is called null hypothesis? So whatever is your overall hypothesis of the study, means whatever your expected outcome. So any statement which nullifies the expected outcome is null hypothesis. For example, my expected output is that if I go for a walk, I'll be more healthy. It means walk and healthy are being healthy, they are related. That is the expected outcome. So what will be the null hypothesis? The statement which will be nullifying that expected outcome. Walking does not make any difference to health, right? So if a scholar is able to write these research questions, these kinds of hypotheses, these kinds of expected main finding, it means that research scholar is pretty in hold of that work area and research title. This is something very, very important. Normally, introduction chapters we write in the last, right? Or we say that introduction hi likhni or something like this one. Remember one thing, face value is very, very important, and we cannot ignore that. Introduction chapter is the face value of any research paper, any thesis, any research project report, and so on. So introduction is damn important. It's something very technical. It's not that anything which we are finding from different sources can be part of our introduction. No. For example, I always say that if you're writing research thesis, right, if you're writing introduction for your thesis, the introduction chapter is not of the work area. Introduction is about your thesis. There is a difference, technical difference, right? So it means the writing of introduction is something very important, because that will help you to frame your research problem. Frame your research problem means to set the boundaries within which you are to work upon. It means you will be able to decide what to do, and more important, you will be able to decide what not to do. Means setting the boundaries of your research is very important. That is called the framework of research problem, right? That will also help you to understand that your subject area is new, or it is older, but still how that is still relevant, right? For example, if I say computerization of banking industry, this is a very old topic, but computerization of industry and acceptance of internet banking by the older generation, right? So here the topic has become, the work area was quite older, but it is still is having relevance, because so many older people still get in the queue in the bank and they are not using internet banking and so on. So it means there is a possibility of research in this kind of research setup. So you must understand the historical backdrop also, right? Historical backdrop means what kind of previous research works have been done in similar or relevant research area. I'm using the word similar or relevant. I'm not using the word same. If you're using the word same, it means the work has already been done. It means why you are doing it then. So if same is available, we need not to do it again. So it can be similar or can be relevant, right? So research scholar, when he or she is writing the introduction chapter, please guide her that she must be able to elaborate upon the research problem and also the purpose of the study, the rationale, right? Why she is doing it. For example, the first question in the why you chose this topic, right? This cannot be a crammed answer for this one. This will be a very technical answer, because for that question only, that was the first research question she or he had in the mind, and hence she started working in that research problem statement. So whatever the major problem, major issues, right, the major variables, major hypotheses or major supporting theories, existing theory setups and all those things, the major boundaries of research, and the technical definitions of the key concepts, the key variables, the total work area, terminologies, and so on. So if we are able to understand the technicalities of all these things, the research problem, research questions, the research variable, the existing supporting theories, and so on, right? It means we are able to understand that we are in complete hold of our research domain, right? So that is important, that we should write the introduction chapter very technical. Literature review. I'll be very frank and candid here. This is not a cut copy paste job. This is not a cut copy job, right? Because from literature review, you understand that you are not reinventing the wheel. Means that is already available somewhere and you are reworking on that one. It means you are not adding something new to the body of knowledge. It means your work is not the novelty idea. It means you failed at the very first step only, that you could not do something new, right? And if previous researchers have done something in that similar or relevant field, the due credit is always our responsibility, our primary ethical duty, right? So research done by someone, the due credit must be given. From review of literature, one very important thing is that we understand the research problem. Right? So problem is that solution is unknown but does exist. But until unless we understand and we can define the problem in clear terms, we cannot find a suitable solution for this same thing. It means the previous works of different researchers will help us to understand the fundamentals of that research problem. Right? So fundamentally, the previous theories and previous researches, and understanding those issues with respect to the future implications of that work area we have chosen for yourself. Then from research perspective, review of literature means that you become a critic also. Critic also, that you are able to critically evaluate the already existing information in the literature. So if you are able to critically, if you can critically evaluate, it means you can decide this is right, this is wrong, right? So the wrong can be avoided, the right can be pursued. So that is possible only if you have developed the critical evaluation abilities in yourselves. Similarly, the literature review will help you to choose the subject area, to choose the variables, to choose the intended objectives, right? Then very important is that whatever objectives you choose, whatever subject area you choose, whatever variable you choose, make categories, right? And from those categories, for example, category 1, category 2 on the second objective, category 3 on the third objective, or variable, or whatever your basis of categorization is, mind it that is one subchapter, independent subchapter. So you go for reviews for that particular category, and from that particular category, concluding paragraph must be written. Category wise, I'm saying, if you are writing a concluding paragraph, it means you are grasping whatever was supported by the previous research workers, right? So concluding paragraph of each category is very important for the research scholar, because again, that will help you to understand that, yes, you have understood really, right? You have understood really. My take here is, when I talk to my students, I always say, read the literature as if you are preparing for your final exams. And as you write on the answer book in the exam, try to write the literature similarly, right? Whatever you understood. So my take is always that bibliographic reading is more important than reference-based reading. means whatever you are understanding from the existing literature, and if you jot it down yourself, it means you really understand the research problem for yourself. Uh, that is one good area to start with. Most of the research scholars, they fail to define their respondent. Whenever I go for a viva, I always ask question, let me know who was your respondent very clearly. For example, if I say young population was my population, right? The young people. Young people means boys or girls. For you, young people are from which age group? For your young people are from which academic background, which kind from geographical background, and so on. So it means all people who are in the youth stage are not your respondents, right? So you must know exactly who your respondent is. One, and who is your respondent category. For example, I'm saying the youth is your respondent category, and within this category, what is your target group? For example, urban college going educated girls, right? So urban college going educated girls who can speak in English. That's my clarity that yes, I know who my respondent is. It's not any girl, right? So that kind of exactness is very important when you decide your respondent. Then very important when to contact him or her, right? What kind of C skills are required to fetch information from him or her. For example, if you're talking to a housewife, or if you're talking to a working lady, or if you're talking to a mother who is also a working lady, so it means you cannot have the same kind of C skills to get the information from her. So from these three kinds of people, you'll have to have different kind of communication skills to fetch information. So it means the first thing is, let's make sure that our research scholar is damn sure about the respondent from whom the information is to be collected. That's important. Many errors are in the sampling. We know the alpha error, the gamma error, or the type 1 error or type 2 error, as we call it. Sometimes the sample is right and the population, we could not make the right decision. Our sample is correct but failed, or our sample is wrong but got succeeded, right? So type 1 error, type 2 error, and so many things happen like this one. So it means research scholar mostly commits mistake in deciding their sampling design. The number one error is regarding population specific error. Population specific error, for example, if you are going for a survey on Maruti cars and you select the respondents at random and you say any population who is having a car is part of my respondent, and in that population so many billionaires are there, and you are asking a question, kitna average deti hai? Right? So a billionaire will not respond to this question that what's the mileage of this car, because a person who can buy a car of 50 to 60 lakhs will not be buying it for his fuel efficiency, right? So it means population specific error is here. My what I want to say is, we must be able to make a research scholar decide whatever possibility is in deciding the certainty of population. Certainty of population means that population is not the uncertain. Uncertain means that all the people who are part of the population will be no. So make it finite. Finite means, for example, for car survey, the people who are from this kind of occupational background, who are from this income background, who are from this age background, who are from this kind of occupation, and so on. So demographics, if they are pre-decided, it means we are deciding the finite part of our population. So if our population is correctly understood, our possibility that will be identifying the respondent correctly, it means we'll be making the right sampling frame also. Sampling frame is the list of all the people. For example, if I say the college teachers, so college teacher means university, the degree college teachers or technical college teachers or both. So that is the certainty we'll have to fix, right? So if we say the teachers of the technical colleges, it means our sampling frame of Ludhiana will be all the teachers of technical colleges. If we make a list of that, that will be our sampling frame. From that sampling frame, if we are pretty clear that he or she can be part of our that sample list, it means we can definitely choose the right kind of sample from that sampling frame. So making a population certain or finite is very important, because that will help you to solve the problem of sampling frame also. And if non-response is there, for example, if we are talking to the respondent and we are not fetching the complete response, we are getting the biased response, or we are getting the incomplete response, and so on. So what to do? It means the respondent must be contacted before before we really go to the questionnaire before him or her, right? So pre-administration contact is one area how we can remove the non-response errors. Or we can always follow up also. For example, suppose even if we have collected the data from the sample, even if again if we are going for a follow-up, and from that follow-up we always understand this, he was right, he was wrong. Or for example, some questions we can go for the counter questions, right? The counter question in the questionnaire also, or as a follow-up also. For example, do you like red color? And the counter question is, what's your choice, bright colors or the light colors? So there he or she is saying red color, but in the counter question she says that she is liking light colors only. So this counter question will help you to understand that this response is wrong, right? The best method for controlling the non-response error is that we must increase the sample size, right? Because that probability of getting non-response respondents with the good response respondents, that will help you to have a good sample, and hence overall good data for you. The sampling sufficiency. We can have many statistical formulas for determining the sample size. We can go with respect to the Cochrane formula. We can go for, you see, there are many, for example, on the degree of efficiency required, degree of freedom, and so on. So there are many statistical bases available where we can go for deciding whether this kind of sampling sufficiency is there or no. We can go for that sample adequacy, KMO values, and all that as well. But the KMO value will be calculated later on. But before that, if we are clear with the population, clear with the sampling frame, clear with the non-response errors, how they are to be removed, it means the sampling efficiency, the sampling sufficiency will be just a byproduct, right? So for that, the solution is that sample design, the sample size, and the possibility of multiple contacts with those respondents will definitely help you to have a sufficient data where the validity and reliability will not be in question whenever we'll be going for analysis part. The common mistakes. The common mistake says that the research scholar is not able to frame the research questions. Research question means that whatever the probable questions we are going to solve with our research outputs, right? Or we cannot decide the boundaries of our research. I always say that whenever you are going for PhD work, sometimes we want to do everything, and sometimes we don't know what to do, and we keep on doing this or that, this or that, this or that. So I always say, set the boundaries of your research, because you are working for your PhD right now, right? You are not working for a Nobel Prize, right? It means you're not going, you cannot go in all the directions. If you are right in the middle of the pond, and in 3 directions sharks are there, and if you are not sure which side is the safer side, and even if you are a champion swimmer, you may swim to that bank, to that side of the pond where more sharks are there. So it means the problems will be more if you are not able to decide the right kind of direction of your research, and that is possible only if you are able to decide the boundaries of your research. For example, if we talk about the leadership studies, right? In leadership studies, there are landmark studies, right? Which are being cited by so many people. We cannot ignore such landmark studies if we are working in the same area. So it means whenever you are working on a research problem, you must have read those landmark studies, right? Because they guide you. They guide you for the methodology also. They guide you for setting the hypothesis also. They guide you for the emergence of a problem statement and so on. So those landmark studies must be made sure that you are not ignoring them, right? Another part is that whatever your research questions you have enlisted yourself in the research problem, make sure that the research scholar is focused on those ones, right? Is focused on this one. Again, I say you cannot do everything in your PhD project. You can do best in the decided research questions, but you cannot decide every research question, right? So in this case, whatever major issues or whatever minor issues are there, right? We must be clear that this is the direction we are going to work on, right? The citations or the technical part that the referencing, citations, and so on, those things must be taken care of. So what are the tips and tricks? Tips and tricks is the first thing for a guide is that make sure your research scholar remains relaxed. He or she is not tense about his or her work, because as more of you are feeling relaxed, it means more of the innovations, more of the better ideas, better studies, better references are possible. But at the same time, don't make him to be lethargic also, right? So there should be a balance that how you're going to make him or her feel relaxed, and how you're making sure that he or she is always on the toes also when working. So that kind of research guidance, the role of a mentor as a research advisor is very important. Make your research scholar to read and read and read and read. There is no second alternative available than reading and reading and reading, right? And this research scholar must be made to write the notes. So whenever your research scholar is having a discussion with you or with the concerned the experts, or even with the respondents, or with the even peers, he or she must take the notes. So whatever you are writing on your notebook, that is going to define what kind of good work you are leading yourself to, right? Make him or her talk to as many as experts or fellows in that work area, right? Don't let them get confused. Don't let them be afraid of this one. Make her to work upon as many research questions as possible, but make sure that those research questions are systematized also. Here, one big thing is most of the research scholars, whenever they are going for research process, on the back of mind, they always know कि sir T test लगेगा, chi test लगेगा, कि NOVA लगेगा, कि क्या लगेगा, right? And they say कि sir SPSS नहीं आता, and so on, so on, so on. Remember one thing: don't worry about statistical analysis. Don't worry about the software, R software, or SPSS, or AMOS, or something. Millions have used those softwares earlier. Millions have done those kind of statistical analysis earlier. If millions and billions can do it, you can also do it. It means whatever is possible can always be done, right? Let the right time come. Don't worry upon these saying कि मुझे T test नहीं आता, मुझे chi test नहीं आता, मुझे ये नहीं आता, मुझे वो. Don't worry. The right thing you will be able to do when you are ready to do it, because millions have done it earlier also. Here, one important thing before I wind up is you see, in research guidance, one help what we can do is make sure that on a very regular feature, we talk among ourselves. When I say, I'm not saying discuss or deliberate, I'm saying talking. Talking means informally. If we are talking about, for example, I remember when I was working on food processing, I used to meet my friends who were from my alma mater, Punjab Agriculture University, who are into similar kind of food processing industry and so on. I used to talk to them a lot. Right, and my guide said that, okay, you keep on talking, and whatever one good take you have as a carry home, discuss with me. Right. So when we are talking to them in an informal setup, that is what the beauty of research is, right? So informal setup conversation leads to a formal research questions also, right? That is very, very important, very important. The another good part is not just depend upon the existing literature. Existing literature can support you, right? Only if you are going to find and read the real useful literature. When I'm saying real useful literature, it means you're pretty clear that this kind of research work will help you in your research area, not any research work. So you should be able to make a tick mark. Yes, this is very apt reading for my research work area. One. Second, if you are working, for example, one of my students, we are working on the consumer adoption process of personal hygiene products, right? Here, personal hygiene products means a professional consultancy is possible, right? After doing that research, she can join industry in the which is manufacturing the personal hygiene products, or she can go for joining the self-help group, or she can make a self-help group for herself also, and she can work in that area and so on. She can develop an NGO also and so on. So when you're choosing the right work area, when you're choosing the right research problems statement for yourself, research is not only writing, research is understanding, right? The cognitive abilities we develop in that area. Cognitive abilities means that yes, you are an expert of that area and you can make a decision better and quicker than all other fellows, right? So if you can make a better decision, if you're able to make a decision quicker than others, it means you are able to do this one. But very important here is that your PhD project should be functionally suitable, appropriate, means you must be clear that what are the practical implications of that research, right? If I worked in food processing industry, I'm sure that how I can contribute in the food processing industry, the companies working there, the professionals working there, and the overall setup in the area or something. If I can make a better decision, if I can make a quicker decision for that kind of food processing industry, it means I can. I was just talking to one fellow who was selling unbranded homemade biscuits, right? And I was just talking to him or her that how he or she can go for packaging, right? He started packaging those homemade biscuits, and he's selling it as a homemade but in a packaged form. So his profit margin increased, his overall sales increased just with one queue only, right? So this kind of contribution, if you can make, yes, you are as a guide, you are contributing, as a research scholar, you are contributing in your own professional development and so on. One final take before I sign off. Final take off is that in this academic world also, the exploitation of the guide and the research scholar is quite common, right? This exploitation is there because we thrive upon when we say that research scholar is confused and we get benefited out of his or her confusions. Make sure that whenever you are part of this PhD journey, you as a guide or as a research scholar, you should be the first person to stand up that yes, I'm not going to get exploited, or I'm not going to be exploited, right? Thank you so much. We can have the general queries now. my WhatsApp number is there. So if you have the specific queries for your research problem you are working upon, I'll be very happy that we can work together in future. You can save my number and we can continue to work in future. I hope within 40-50 minutes, whatever the basics were possible in this kind of discussion, I could contribute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for elucidating your experience so well. There are so many takeaways from your mentoring journey. And I hope after this very informative and detailed lecture, the supervisors as well as the scholars are very well aware what is expected from them. Now, I would request all the participants, if they have any queries, they can just click on raise hand option, or they can put their query in the chat box. The house is open for the discussion.
Let's allow them to be unmuted, please.
Yeah, the technical team, I request you to kindly unmute the audience so that they can ask some questions.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are clear. Hello.
Hello. Madam, I am Dr. Subramaniam Bhatt from Goa, madam.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, very informative. My students also participated. We are very glad to you. It is a very need for our. I know that it is a need for our. The last two sessions I attended. I know that 3 sessions were there. Yeah, 2 sessions I attended. This time I told my students also to participate, and they are doing the research in the initial stage. Sir has explained exactly what is the requirement in the initial stage to do. We are very glad to you, madam. We are from Goa. 3 students plus myself, we are Subramaniam Bhatt, principal of the college, Swami Vivekananda College, Goa. I am participating. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. I hope we lived up to your expectations. Thank you very much. Sir, we have a question from Dr. Ashwini Rana. His question says that what if every time the scholar keeps on sending you the soft copy, you know, to assess and to read the proof, and every time you remind the person that you have to send the hard copy and there is no choice. So how can that be helped out?
Let me read the question again, please, because.
Sir, I'll just repeat it if you want.
Please.
So the question says, what if every time the scholar keeps on sending you the soft copy to assess or to proofread, even though you remind him many a times that you know, this reading from the soft copy is very difficult, so you send a hard copy, and if you can help out how this can be solved.
That is what I said, exploitation and all those things, you know. The solution here is that the research scholar and the research advisor, they must they must develop that kind of relationship that where you can talk openly, right? So I'm of the view that first of all, that chemistry of relationships should be developed, and then the research journey should be started.
Yes.
Right? So sending a hard copy or sending a soft copy, that is not big thing. You must be remembering last time I told that my guide used to get a copy, printing of the abstract, even binding and making a pack of the same thing for me.
Yes.
Right? He may be one good exception or something, but if you are able to develop a good relationship with your advisor as a research scholar, that is going to solve the problem. Otherwise, this is more of a problem of human relationships than the research problem.
So there's one more question. The question, there are so many questions actually popping up. I'll just read. The question says that the person, if I can just name, it is Ara. Nulofar Ara is the name of the person who has asked the question. And the question says that the person is working on domestic violence. So how can I choose any fixed sample size please, though I may know my research. Okay. So the question is, how can the person fix the sample
Sample size
size when he's
determination,
working
right?
on domestic violence? Sir, am I clear?
I understood the question. It's a
Okay.
question about the sample size determination.
Yeah.
You
Yes, sir.
see, the domestic violence is one area where the certainty of population to be decided is quite difficult also, right? One. So here what we can do is, what kind of degree of accuracy required, right? Or when you are working upon, you should be pretty clear that these are the demographics I'm going to work upon, right? For example, I'm going to work upon the population of Chandigarh, right? Then from census, from the previous reports, the publications of the government and so on, what kind of level of domestic violence is there? And suppose the total population is of 1 lakh, and in 1 lakh, 5% women in the houses are facing the domestic violence and so on. So somehow we are clear that out of 1 lakh, 5% we are somehow clear, right? It's not very correct term or something. So statistically, you can go for Cochrane formula, right? The probability of the expectation based formula, Cochrane, COCHRAN, Cochrane's formula, degree of accuracy required, degrees of freedom required, right? And the overall population size possibility. From that, what kind of if we can measure the standard error based statistical formulation for sample size determination, that will always help. Nilofarji, if you want to work upon the Cochrane's formula or something, I have given you my WhatsApp number. I'll definitely make sure that you learn that statistical methodology of sampling determination. Don't go for hit and trial के सर ने बोला है कि 400 का size ले लो, ऐसा नहीं होता है.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So we have one more question by Aryaman Bhandari ji. He says that can you just give some tips on the publication of paper in some Scopus journal? If you can give some tips how to publish your paper in Scopus journal.
Here, I'm a really a different kind of person. Why Scopus? Why elsewhere? Why BDC? Why UGC? Why so on, so on, so on? If we are working upon our research problem for the sake of publication and so on, right? That is one. You see, the compulsion we academicians are being put to, that we need to have publications in Scopus or elsewhere or at ABDC, UGC care, UGC approved, UGC and this and this and this and this. So yes, we are compelled to work upon, so we'll have to work upon one. You see, most of the top journals think big, dream big, you will definitely achieve big. One. So most of the top journals, they have given the guidelines for submission, right? So go for a few great journals, write the guide, understand the guidelines of submission, right? You will understand that, for example, many journals ask for the access to the database, right? Many journals do not ask for it, right? So different journals have got different requirements. One. The second thing is, many journals, they go for special issues. For example, if Nilofer is working on domestic violence, there must be some specific issue somewhere which are going to publish the papers on domestic violence. So try to contact those journals which are there for those specific issues. Something. So if you are able to understand the guidelines.
Sir, if you allow me, I can add something over here. Happy
Pardon?
sir, if you allow me, I can add something over here.
Welcome.
If you allow me. Sir, if we decide, the way you are saying, it is basically the scope of the journal. Like the word emotion added to it or domestic added to it, some special journals are there. So definitely they're going to accept that. Yes, sir.
That's how the things to be moved on for research publication.
Yeah. Any other questions do we have? The house is still open.
There is a statement. There are abundance of clone journals.
Yes, sir.
Right, clone journals, paid journals, and so on. my take again is that we should work upon where practical implications are there as a professional, not for publication only. Publications just happen by chance. They will happen. Don't worry for that.
So we have one more question. Actually, we had Kusum ma'am in the previous webinar also, and I had just missed out the question she has asked in the previous webinar also, and she is mentioning over here that the question says, can you just please tell me if I want to do PhD? So how can I select the university for my PhD journey? I mean,
Okay.
how to select the university? Yeah.
One is that the university should be authentic, right? Authentic means that it is a government approved university. One. Secondly, they have a previous track record of having successful PhD scholars completing their studies. Two. The third, very important, is the research guides are stable. I know many universities. Just a few days only, I talked to a private university for a friend of mine, and the person who was dealing hand at that private university, he was saying, sir, आप PhD ज्वाइन करवा देंगे, गाइड की स्टेबिलिटी का कुछ पता नहीं, and the student will have to get a co-guide for himself, right? That will be the responsibility of the student only. So it means we are going for money minting only. We are not to go for such universities. The another good part is that choose the right guide, and automatically his or her university, right? So if you are choosing the right guide, right? Guide means that person who is famous or who is capable of working in that area where you are intending to work upon. So meet the right person for as a guide.
Right, sir. Sir, we have Dr. Nand Kishore. They want to ask a question. They have raised the hand. Yes, sir, please come.
Good afternoon, sir. Dr. Nand Kishore, Principal, SD College, Hoshiarpur.
Good afternoon, sir.
Your deliberation, your presentation is wonderful, sir. I want to share my problem as a supervisor with Punjab University, and like other universities, there is a grievance of supervisor and students that there is no autonomy. Means जो पहले वाले supervisor साहिबान ने जो एक framework बना दिया, उन्होंने कुछ जिन्ना की decide कर देता पहला कि ए होएगा, इस तरह आप कर सकते हैं, उस तो वेरिएट होना, उस तो डेविएट होना और उन्हें चेंज करना सानू सुपरवाइजर्स नू ते साडे जो रिसर्चर है, इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स हैं, उन्होंने बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आती है। जो डिपार्टमेंट च या दूजे उस विच बैठे लोग, वो उन्होंने मेंटल माइंडसेट इस तरह का होता है कि वो कहते नहीं, ये पॉइंट इस तो बाद आऊगा, तो इस तो बाद आप ही लिखना है, उस तो पहला नहीं लिखना। इस तरह के स्टेप्स होंगे, इस तरह का स्ट्रक्चर होएगा कि तुसी इस गल तो सहमत हो। मैं कई यूनिवर्सिटी नाल एसोसीएट है, उत्थे डिपार्टमेंट की करते हैं कि वो जो पहले वाले प्रोफेसर साहिबान बैठे, उन्होंने एक्सपीरियंस बहुत हुंदा है, उन्होंने सल्यूट है, उन्होंने सब कुछ ठीक हुंदा है, लेकिन कि समय के साथ उन्होंने अपन नू चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए। उन्होंने ऑटोनोमी सुपरवाइजर नू, इन्वेस्टिगेटर नू कुछ अपने हिसाब नाल कर दे। मतलब हाँ ठीक है, चीज़ें होनी चाहिए हैं, एक पर्टिकुलर एक सिस्टम होना चाहिए, लेकिन ऑटोनोमी भी होनी चाहिए। एक तो मेरा आप जी तो ये सुझाव लेने का इरादा है। दूजा है एक लैंग्वेजेस बैरीयर, जिदा साढ़े पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी च हिंदी, इंग्लिश, पंजाबी तिना मीडियम अंडर ग्रेजुएट च भी है, सोशल साइंस च ते PhD च एक फोबिया या एक ट्रेडिशन हैगा कि आपां PhD दी थीसिस लिखनी है, भावें वो बच्चा पंजाबी बैकग्राउंड दा होवे, दूजी बैकग्राउंड दा होवे, उन्नू बेचारे नू इंग्लिश च ही लिखना पैंदा। वो कहंदे PhD दी थीसिस तुसी लिखनी, जिद्दां मैं सोशल साइंस डिसिप्लिन मेरा एजुकेशन है, तो एजुकेशन वालियां नू भी अब कई बारी जो बच्चा सोशल साइंस बैकग्राउंड दा हुंदा है, लैंग्वेजेस दा हुंदा है, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਗਲਤ ਮਤਲਬ ਰੋਂਗ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਲਿਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ। ਇਹ 2-3 ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਮੁਹਿੰਮ, ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਥੋੜਾ ਸਾ ਆਟੋਨੋਮੀ ਜਾਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੁਝ ਮੰਥਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ।
Dr. Saab, your take is
Sir, your voice is echoing.
Dr. Saab, your take is well taken. We all know you for your leadership at Punjab University and so on. As far as the flexibility of working during PhD project, if your research process is not dynamic, it means you're really not working. You're just writing down. You're not working as a researcher. One. That, for example, if those research objectives are fixed, right? But the interpretation of those research workers, the research objective is always possible with respect to the new dimensions. I agree that if during the process of research, if that warrants that we should go for some changes, the guide must have that authority to get it done. I always allow that, right? I always say that if you are going to make a change, support with the logic. Then as a guide, whenever that thesis is to be defended, don't worry, I'll be there with you, right? So I take a stand as a guide, right? And I make sure that my student feels confident in that. That is one thing. As the second question was the language and so on. Yes, all the people who are into senior position in the different boards of studies, the university systems and so on. Definitely in our academic council meetings and so on, we should make it sure that we get the universities on this platform, that the language of the choice of the researcher should be allowed. If marketing management is possible, right, prabandhan da visha bhi onna hi saukha aur vadiya dhang nal likhya ja sakta, right? So language cannot be a bar here. I agree on this one, and I think yes, we should take up this in our academic council meetings, that the language should not be made a bar. I fully support you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for handling all the queries of our participants so well. And I am pretty sure that you are living up to the expectations. Whatever they were expecting, all the queries have been handled very well. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Ripudaman ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Can I borrow 1 minute?
Yeah. Who's this? May I know?
Dr. Ashwani Rana.
Yeah. Please, sir.
Harper sir, just now the principal from Hoshiarpur, he discussed that there is a set pattern that everybody has to follow. I am of opinion, if there is no uniformity, don't you think that everybody will be blowing his or her own trumpet? Flexibility is there. I agree, strongly agree with you. Flexibility has to be there. Dynamism has to be there in research. But if there is no uniformity of the structure, then people will be writing the way they feel like, isn't it?
I understood your question, sir. I understand your question. Here,
Dr.
my view
please
is,
let me intervene.
I said the objectivity of research is very important.
Harpreet sir, Professor.
Dr. Harpreet.
Pardon? Objectivity of question is, objective of the research is very, very important.
Dr. Harpreet.
Dr. Harpreet.
Professor Manjeet Singh want to intervene over here, please.
I got the question, Ripu ma'am.
No, sir. Sir, Professor Manjeet Singh want to say something.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Doctor, this is not an appropriate platform to discuss such things. I think we should not indulge in such type of controversies of Punjab University. So please, I think we can discuss on some other platform.
So I'm not,
and we should go
agreed.
ahead,
It's not a university specific question. I'm taking it like that.
No, both the persons are belong to Punjab University and they are discussing and countering each other. So this is not a platform, please. Try to understand.
No, sir, I'm not from Punjab University. It is a general discussion. Sorry to intervene. It is a general discussion.
Sir, it is not a general discussion. It is a
Right, sir.
controversial discussion. This is not a platform to create controversies.
Okay, sir.
Please allow us to say so. Yeah.
Right, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the cooperation. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So now in the end, I
Nirupadaman,
would,
please go ahead.
yes, sir. Now in the end, I would request Dr. Parvinder Singh, Head Department of Business Management, GGN IMT, to kindly propose a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Am I visible and audible both?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ripudaman. It's indeed my privilege to express my gratitude to Dr. Harpreet Singh for this session. And I'm very sure most people in the audience would like to snatch my role. You know, the very fact, the comments in the chat box, the number of questions which are there, and the general excitement the session has, built up. Most of the people would say, you get on the side, you meet him every day and almost every day, and he's also your guide. So you're going to say things which perhaps are going to be in the form of a Guru Dakshina. So it is not like that. So I believe that the session that Dr. Harpreet took was, he handled everything in very minute detail. And as a, I would say, he put all his cards on the table, which normally the guides don't do. The way I look at it, most of the people who once they become guides, they think that they are nearer God. And then until and unless the God is, worshipped every day, they don't let out, they just don't share the things which will make the job of a scholar easier. I believe many of you would have felt this. But Dr. Harpreet, he is, I would say, he is overflowing with knowledge and with the willingness to share it also. So he, at the first instance that he gets, if someone wants to ask something, he will just share, and share. So this is one thing which I noticed. Another thing that I noticed as his scholar and also with the other co-travelers whom he had mentored was that he doesn't have a fixed, definite style of doing things. Like I've seen guides who sort of do a role play that, okay, if I'm a guide, so this is how I should behave. This is the kind of this should be my kind of behavior. This is the kind of protocol that I have. They act the role of a guide very seriously. I would suggest that if he does it, he will be taken more seriously, and because style and everything matters. But he will just tell you things the way they are. So it could also be related to, since his branch is marketing, and in marketing we always say segmentation is very important. So if as a student he found me that I was not hardworking enough or not wise enough, so he would perhaps compress my task and stick to. But if he finds that, just like the host of this show is a person who is Dr. Ripudaman, who is interested in expanding her knowledge and gaining everything new each day, and she's going to bamboozle with questions, so he would never hesitate. He would participate there also. And then there would be another scholar who is very fond of attention to detail, presentation. So he will look at that thing. So he was becoming whatever a person would be. So maybe because of that, people who associate with him during his research guidance are not conscious. And I'm very sure if they adopt his style, I'm very sure the number of PhDs would exponentially grow. Rather than it being a constraint, the guides would actually be facilitators. So this is another thing that I would like to say here. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that he's going to do all your tasks. Maybe an exception here and there. But what he's going to do is that he's very clear about deadlines. He's very clear about processes. He's very clear about procedures. So based on all these things, and he's very clear about where you are going to do your doctorate from, what would be the expectations of that university, what would be the expectations of your guide, what is your domain area. So according to that, he would give you a customized guidance so that it is not this that you're learning by burning your fingers. So this is what I had felt. So with these words, this is my humble gratitude that I would like to share and offer to my guide, Dr. Harpreet Singh. And I hope the audience would also feel the same. And before we end, I wish to express our gratitude workshops. So when the idea was introduced, I'm very sure many of us would have, would have been wondering what would happen. The normal is what we have as a research methodology workshop. So we have techniques, everything. But this is something. It's just like the school kid essay that कि नानी के घर आ रहे हैं, नानी के घर जा रहे हैं, we are chronicling a journey. तो इसमें क्या होगा? But I'm very sure that just like any new idea, anything which is different, it evolves, it goes over a period of time, and it results into fruitful things for all of us. I would also like to express my gratitude to Professor Manjeet Singh Chhavda ji, our director, for ensuring that all of us were doing things in time. We were taking this entire activity seriousness that it deserved at all stages. And I'm very sure that people who participated in this journey with us, and some of you didn't get out on the platform and then jump and come up at the other station. They stuck in with the train, some other. So that doesn't matter. But I'm very sure that it was a pleasurable experience for all of us. I also wish to thank our host for the day, Dr. Ripudaman, for very ably anchoring the show. Though there were a few trial, but the people who always, who live and give up trials, live up to them and pass with flying colors are what excellent people are all about. And all the previous hosts and other faculty members who had participated and made this journey possible. Thanks very much, Dr. Ripudaman. Thank you, everyone.
Sir,
I also
thank
wish
you.
to thank all the participants who were with us. Some of you had to wait outside, so it was kind of a blockbuster movie wherein, these days we do not have housefuls, but we were lucky that this was a Zoom full, and some of you had to be diverted to Facebook. Regret the inconvenience cost. So maybe we will have a larger old-size theater next time Dr. Harpreet comes. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your words of appreciation. Thanks a lot. I also thank all the participants for joining us and for their energetic and enthusiastic participation. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.